Our objective, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is to show you a believable path. That's the key word, believable. All right, lot in marketing is a lot of hype and what have you. No, we want you to walk away from tonight's webinar saying, I see myself becoming a Digi millionaire. So we're going to show you a believable path to you becoming a Bitcoin, or what we like to refer to as a Digi. Digi is short for digital currencies. So Digi millionaire status, leveraging our 5-step Digi millionaire roadmap. Whoops, I clicked the wrong thing. Now, here's what I want you to do. This is going to be different than most webinars that you attend, particularly if they have anything to do with marketing or what have you. We're not going to swing around the chandeliers tonight, and we're not just going to try to condense everything in 30 minutes. We want to give you value. So I want you to set aside at least 75 minutes with us tonight, and I want to make sure that you set aside all distractions. Okay, so no texting and Facebooking. Close out everything else, and just stay squarely focused on the screen here. Okay, so now this Bitcoin space, and even if you don't know much about Bitcoin, that's okay. We're going to give you some Digi basics, some Bitcoin basics here. Had you and I known back in 2010, 7 years ago, had we invested just $100 in Bitcoin, that $100, say that we didn't touch it, we didn't invest any more, we didn't take anything away, would have grown to over $75 million. And that is as of May the 23rd, when Bitcoin was going for $2,200 a coin. Now, first off, for my new folks, if you're not familiar at all, or very have very little familial, you're not familiar that much with Bitcoin. One, you're never going to touch or feel a Bitcoin. It's all digital, okay? And there's now over 1,100 of these digital currencies in the marketplace. That's number one. Number two, you don't have to purchase a full coin. So if you say, well, I don't have $2,200 to buy one Bitcoin, you don't have to purchase one Bitcoin. Just like US dollars are denominated in 0.01. What does that mean, Christopher? That means that you can, you don't have to just use one US dollar, Martin. You can use 1 penny, 0.01, or 2 pennies, 0.02. Now, Rochelle, in the Bitcoin space, there are 8 decimals. I'm sorry, or 8 places beyond the decimal. So when you're dealing with Bitcoin, Tanya, it could be 0.000000001. So a fraction of a fraction of a fraction. Now, let's go back. So you would be worth over $75 million in Digi assets had you invested $100 into Bitcoin in 2010 when she was going for 0.3 of a penny. Now, this article was written when Bitcoin was going for $2,200 back in May. We were on a webinar this past Thursday. We have a trading lab for our members, and while we were on the webinar, Bitcoin went from $5,400 a coin to $5,800 a coin, a $400 increase while we were on a live webinar. So Bitcoin right now, it's since last Thursday, it's come down a little bit. It's I think I saw it maybe at 5,600, 55, 5,600 or what have you. So the point is that now, had you had $100 invested in Bitcoin since 2010, you'd be worth well over $150 million. Okay? Now, you may not know a lot about Bitcoin yet. I'm going to give you some Digi education, but our numbers never lie. Just understand that had you and I known, my gosh, we'd all be financially free if we had bought just a little bit and held on to it. The first transaction, by the way, with Bitcoin, somebody transferred 10,000 Bitcoin so they could, excuse me, sorry about that, give me a moment, so they could buy 2 Papa John's pizzas. So right now, those 2 Papa John's pizzas would be worth over 50 some odd million dollars. That's just absolutely crazy, okay? All right, now, for my newbies that may not know much about Bitcoin at all, what is it? Bitcoin It's a digital currency. It is created. It's held electronically. And here's the key, is that no one controls it. So you can buy stuff with Bitcoin more and more every day. You're able to buy more and more and more stuff with Bitcoin. But the big thing is that it's decentralized. Again, meaning nobody owns it. There is no government that can manipulate it. You know, in 2008, for instance, when there was the crash, you know, the financial crisis in the U.S., one of the things that they began doing is printing billions upon billions upon billions of dollars per month of new U.S. dollars. Well, what that does is that lowers the value of the existing dollars. So any government that continues to print more money is devaluing their own currency. Now, what does all that mean? That means you've got to have more money to buy the same stuff that you bought last year or 5 years ago or what have you. So with Bitcoin, there is no centralized government. There is no Federal Reserve that's manipulating the money supply. And the other thing with Bitcoin is there is a finite number of Bitcoins that will ever be in the marketplace. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins. And right now there's over 16 million in the marketplace. And that's one of the reasons why the value of the Bitcoin continues to increase. It's economics 101. When you've got a limited supply but limitless demand, prices are going to go up. And that's what we're seeing with Bitcoin and these other currencies. Now let's talk a little bit about why companies, merchants would want to take Bitcoin. In Japan, for instance, which is very, very friendly to the Bitcoin space, some 250,000 new merchants have begun taking Bitcoin as tender for goods and services. There are a number of countries that are looking to either have Bitcoin or some other type of digital currency perhaps become their national currency. This is a really big deal, ladies and gentlemen. So why would a merchant want to take Bitcoin versus Visa or MasterCard or American Express or Discover or even PayPal? Well, one of the reasons is because it reduces the cost to the vendor, to the merchant. When you swipe that credit card, when you swipe that Visa or MasterCard logo, the merchant is paying a percentage of the sale. And depending on how many millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in sales they may do on an annual basis, maybe even billions, that swiping of that card could be costing them tens, maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars in fees. Excuse me. Well, with Bitcoin, those transaction fees are nominal, far reduced, saving some merchants into the tens of millions of dollars. Another thing, give me a moment, I'm sorry. Another thing is, one of the biggest risks that merchants have is fraud and chargeback risk. So we've been in the home business space and the investment space since 1994. We saw a few years ago, we saw a model in the home business space that we thought was going to absolutely take off. It was a company that basically you would have a small monthly subscription and you would go in and you would order at that time your non-toiletry items. So many of the things that you might get at a Sam's Club or at a BJ's Wholesale or something like that, some type of warehouse where you might get some things in bulk and you get better pricing because you bought things in bulk, and things would be shipped straight to your door, and there was a compensation plan tied to it. I just knew that was going to be huge. When I first heard about this industry way back when with Amway would say, hey, become your own store, buy from yourself. But we know a lot of companies, when you bought from yourself, you were paying higher prices than you would if you went down to the local store. Well, with this concept that had come out, you were able to buy stuff for the same price, and in some cases even cheaper than what you would did if you went to your local store. Delivered straight to your door, and there was a compensation plan. And I'm thinking, man, this thing is going to explode. Who wouldn't want to do this? Even if they don't want to build a network, they'll want to save some money and have a convenience. And then the company just went away. Couldn't figure out why the company went away. Found out later on that they were a victim of fraud and chargebacks. Some bad guys, bad guyettes got a hold of a bunch of credit cards, made a bunch of purchases, had the purchases sent to various places, earned some commissions. Then because they stole these credit cards from folks, people started saying, hey, what's this charge on my credit card statement? Start calling their credit card company chargebacks. The company wasn't able to withstand it. Over $11 million in 1 month in chargebacks. Well, in the Digi space, you want to make sure that when you send Bitcoin to some place, you know what you're getting, because you're not going to get that Bitcoin back. You're not going to get a refund in Bitcoin, okay? Now, again, we've got to be cautious if we're not the vendor, all right? But that's one of the reasons why vendors love Bitcoin, because it eradicates one of the biggest risks they have, which is fraud risk and chargeback risk. Now, why do we as consumers love using Bitcoin? I'll give you a couple of examples. Or I'll give you one example because we've got to move on. Let's say that maybe you hail from Mexico. You hail from the Dominican Republic. You've moved to the U.S., for instance, where you could get better wages. But you've got loved ones back home in Mexico. You've got loved ones in certain parts of Asia. You've got loved ones in South America, in the Caribbean. And you want to send money back home. Well, heretofore, you had a couple of examples. You could go and you could wire money from your checking account and pay all the wiring fees. Or you could do a MoneyGram or Western Union and just get hijacked with those fees. Now you can send them Bitcoin. And you could send them large amounts of Bitcoin. If you wanted to send $10,000, for instance, from the U.S. to Mexico, you might get an inquisition on that one. You want to send $10,000 in Bitcoin from you being in the U.S. to someone that's in Mexico or in Australia, guess what? You don't have to ask anybody's permission. So as consumers, it allows us some privacy that we don't have in the regular banking arena, and it allows us more freedom as we can move our store of value without getting anyone's permission. Okay? All right, so now I keep hitting the wrong button. Okay, so now let's get you on your DIGI Millionaire roadmap. They're saying that Bitcoin could hit a price of $250,000 a coin by 2020 if the 7-year trend continues. Well, what's the 7-year trend? A gentleman by the name of Jameson Lopp, who's really big in the Bitcoin space, he went through, and let's put this on this chart here so you can see it better. He went through and he charted the daily average change in Bitcoin price over the past 7 years. So if you look at 2010, for instance, on average, then there were days when Bitcoin was up, days when Bitcoin was down, days when Bitcoin was up bigger than the average, days when it was down bigger than the average. But on average, 0.82% a day. I saw an advertisement online today or yesterday. It was from a bank, up to $250,000, and you would earn something like 1 and maybe 1/4% a year. I think you had to tie it up for a few, maybe for 24 months or what have you. Okay, 1.25% a year. We're not talking about this a year. This was an average for the day. Look at 2013, 1.11%. Now listen, if you watch the stock market news, if you watch CNBC, if you watch Bloomberg, if you watch any other financial news, they're always talking about how the U.S. stock market is hitting these highs. We've been, consistently over the past few months hitting these highs in the stock market. And if you were to go back to 2008, I've traded in the stock market in some form or fashion since 2009. Since 1999. If you go back to 2008, when you had the financial crisis and the stock market got absolutely creamed, and you look at the trough, the bottom of 2008, to where the stock market currently is now at all-time highs or near all-time highs, the stock market is up about 300% in the last 9 years. So your money would have grown by a factor of 3. In 2013, Bitcoin was up well over 300% in a year. In a year. And I'm going to show you in a few moments, over the past 12 months, Bitcoin's been up over 700% in the last 12 months. That means that your money would have grown by a factor of 7. If all you had done was parked $100, $1,000, $10,000, whatever the amount was, in Bitcoin over the last 12 months, your Bitcoin value would have grown by a factor of 7. This is how we're going to help you get to Digi Millionaire status, taking advantage of this. So I tell you what, let's talk about our roadmap, and then we're going to really put some meat on the bones here. All right, so we've got a 5-step roadmap. Step 1, Digi education. We've given you a little bit now. You'll be getting education, Digi education in bite-sized pieces, so you can start to absorb it. We have a system that we call CRB Digi Millionaires. You'll be able, if you are brand new and you're not already a part of that system, you'll be able to take a test drive for just $1 for 7 days. Thereafter, it is a minuscule monthly subscription, a lot that you're going to get with it. But some of what you're going to get is Digi education. We do a live webinar every Thursday night, where the focus is either Digi or maybe a little marketing education, so that we can get you up to speed. Number 2, and this is going to be the best way for you to become a Digi millionaire. I'm going to prove this in just a few moments. We're going to assist you in developing your own coin portfolio that you own, Sandy, and that you control. So again, for our membership, those are the folks that have taken the $1 test drive for 7 days and then the very small monthly subscription thereafter. We have a live weekly trading webinar. I've been in the investment arena since '94. I've been trading in the stock market in some form or fashion since '99, Forex since 2003. Now we're in to Digi, and we're showing folks how to build their Digi portfolio. And the beautiful part is you don't have to look at charts. We don't ever have you looking at charts and trying to time the market or anything like that, okay? So something you're going to be able to do in a very, 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 very part-time basis. And even if you can't attend the live webinar, some of you are here and you're in the UK, you're in Australia, that might not work for you or what have you. We record those and we place them in our back office. And once again, these are not things where with our trades that, man, you got to be right there at that time. No, because that'd be too much pressure, okay? So I'm going to prove to you in a few moments, developing your own coin portfolio that you own and control is the best way for you to become a Digi millionaire. We'll also talk about, in the second part of our webinar tonight, how to participate in auto Digi profit systems. We'll highlight one of them tonight so that you could be generating Digi profits in as little as 24 hours from now. In time, we're going to show you how to develop your own following with all the marketing that we're about to launch very soon. Even if you're not good at the whole recruiting or selling or sponsoring or what have you, should you decide to leverage the tools that we're bringing to bear, all a part of your small monthly membership with us, you'll be able to leverage all of that good stuff. And then there will be a array over time of credible Digi offers that we will vet, we'll test. If we believe that they have merit, we'll bring them to our audience, allowing you to diversify your Digi portfolio as well as your income producing portfolio as well. All right, so let's do this. Let me show you, let me prove to you that building your own coin portfolio is by far the best way for you to become a DIGI millionaire. All right, we're going to use a site called coinmarketcap.com. Let me make it slightly larger. coinmarketcap.com. coinmarketcap.com. And let me go and refresh this so we can get the most up-to-date pricing. Okay, so right now, Bitcoin is going for $5,569.12. When we first started talking to our audience about April of this year, about how we need to turn our attention and really focus on this Bitcoin arena, this DIGI arena, Bitcoin was going for $1,250 a coin. So it's already up, what is that? It's up more than a factor of 3, all right? Meaning if you had just parked some money in Bitcoin when it was $1,250, now it's up to $5,569, you would have already more than tripled just from April of this year. But it's not just Bitcoin, and I'm going to prove that to you. But let's start with Bitcoin, okay? Let's start with Bitcoin. All right, so we've got today's pricing of Bitcoin, and I'm going to go also, I'm going to bring up another CoinMarketCap. And what I'm going to do a little bit differently, I'm going to come over here where it says Tools, Historical Snapshots. So this is something you'll actually be able to do yourself, okay? And what we're going to do here is I want to look back and see what was Bitcoin going for maybe a year ago. So with the historical snapshots, we can go back in time. We can go back a few weeks ago. We can go back a few days ago, a few months ago, a few years ago. What we're going to do is we're going to go back to about this time in 2016. And so today is October the 17th. We're going to look at October the 16th. I'm going to click here. All right. So you can see here October the 16th, 2016. Okay. Now, what was Bitcoin going for this time last year? A year and a day ago, it was only going for 640 bucks. Now it's going for 5,569 bucks. So we're going to do a quick little computation here to see what our return would have been if we had known. So right now what we're going to do is I'm going to put in the prevailing price, the current price, 55.69.12. I'm going to subtract out what the price was this time last year, what we could have potentially gotten it for this time last year, $640.41. All right, prevailing price, subtracting out what it's going for right now. I'm sorry, what it was going for a year ago. And we come up with what your profit could have been. In other words, had we known, and thank goodness we had some Bitcoin this time last year, but had we known, and we had some Bitcoin at $640.41 a coin, and had we held on to it to today's prevailing price, we'd be up for $4,928.71. Excuse me. If we take the profit, divide it by what we started with, 640.41, this would tell us what our return would have been. Now, when you do this calculation, you need to take your decimal and move it 2 points to the right. So I'm hoping you can see my calculator here. This represents a 769, almost a 797% return in the past 12 months. Okay, what does that mean? All right. What does that mean? That means that your money would have grown by a factor of over 7 times. So if you had just $100 in Bitcoin this time last year, your $100 today would have profited $769. What would your $100 have done in a savings account? Had you had $1,000 sitting in Bitcoin this time last year, and you just held on to it to today, your $1,000 would have grown, profited $7,696. I want that to sink in, okay? So what this DigiSpace is going to allow us to do is to compress time frames. When I first got in this industry back in 1994 in the marketing arena, but I was also in the investment arena. We were selling mutual funds in a multi-tiered type of approach. And we would teach people about mutual fund investing. And if you were making 3% on your money a year, it would take you like 24 years for your money to double. But if you got 12% on your money, it would take you 6 years. And we would show the difference between someone getting 3% or 6% and 12%, and it was a marked difference. Ladies and gentlemen, we were talking, gosh, at 12%, your money's doubling every 6 years. Here, I can't promise this is going to happen in the next 12 months, but in the last 12 months, your money would have grown by 7 times. But, Ray, it's not just Bitcoin. It's not just Bitcoin. Let me tell you what we did earlier today. We do this once a month, is we look at 20 of some of the top DIGI assets, and we do that same calculation that I just did. What is the prevailing price? What was the price this time last year? What was the profit? What was the return? Now I'm going to prove to you right now that the best way for you to become a DIGI millionaire is for you to build your own coin portfolio. Here we go. Okay. All right. So when I did this earlier today, we were looking at October 16th, 2016, doing it based on today's price. You saw the same $640.41. At the time that I was doing this, Bitcoin was going for $56.33. And what that meant is that over the last 12 months, you would have had a 700 excuse me, an 80% return, 780% return, okay? But look at this asset called Ethereum. It went from a price of $11.97 to $320.96. You would have had a 2,581% return. This column right here was saying, hey, had you invested $1,000, this is what that $1,000 would have profited. It would have made $7,700 bucks. In Ethereum, that $1,000 would have made $25,810 bucks. There's an asset called Ripple, 2,870%. Your $1,000 would have made $28,700. And maybe you don't have $1,000 to do. I'm going to show you 20 assets here. If you just had $100 bucks times these, just take off the last number. Okay, so $100 bucks in Ripple would have made $2,870 bucks. Now I don't have time to go through each one of these assets. Here's an asset called Dash, 2,614%. Here's an asset called NIM, 5,317%. Your $1,000 would have made $53,170. Here's another one here, LISC, 2,627%. What I want to show you are all of these assets that have actually outperformed Bitcoin. Ethereum's outperformed it. Ripple, Litecoin, Ethereum Classic, Monero. Many of you had never even heard of these other assets. Maybe you had heard of Bitcoin, but many people hadn't heard of Monero or Dash. And now all of a sudden you get a coin like Augur that's up 227% in 12 months, and that's a disappointment. Where else can you go where you could have more than doubled your money twice, all right? 100% return would have been doubling your money, right? Where you could have gotten a 227% return where your $1,000 could have made you $2,270 bucks. What other investment vehicles are there out there where you could do that? And here in this space, 227% seems like a disappointment. A 65% return in a year seems like a disappointment. There was one of these assets that had a bad year. It was down 66%. So if you had invested in Pure Plays, you would have lost some money. You invested in Pure Plays $1,000 bucks, you'd have lost 853 bucks. But all these other ones, you would have made out substantially. As a matter of fact, had you invested $1,000 into each of those 20 assets, $20,000 total, and just walked away for a year, your $20,000 a year later would be worth $293,000 and some change. So I want to prove to you your best way to become a DIGI millionaire is to build your own coin portfolio. And that's what we teach our members to do on our Thursday night live trading labs. We teach you how to build your own coin portfolio. We show you what we're doing. We show you at what price we would purchase an asset. If we're looking to hold it for the long term, if we're looking to sell and maybe take some profits, we share all of that with you. And if you can't make it live, we record it, we post it in your back office, and you're able to see everything that we did. If we took a trade on screen, you'll see us take that on screen and record it so that you can also do that if you decide to in your own account. Now, I'm going to transition here, but just recently, we participated in something called an ICO. It stands for Initial Coin Offering. And this is akin to an IPO in the stock market, initial public offering, okay? I don't have time to cover because I need to get you some more content. Suffice it to say, on September the 15th, we purchased the ICO at 97 cents. And earlier today, it was going for, let's see what it was going for 33 and some change. I'll just say 33. And so on this one transaction, $33, let's say prevailing price, got it at 97 cents, $32 in profit, divide that by what we got it for, 97 cents. That'd be a 3,300% return. That means our funds are up by a factor of 33. If you had $100 in that ICO and you were still holding on to the coin, you've profited 3,300 bucks. If you had $1,000 in that ICO and you have held on to the coin, you've profited over $33,000. Okay. I want you to walk away saying, I am going to be a DIGI millionaire. All right, so we've got the second part of the webinar here. Now, everything that I just said is wonderful. Our time horizon to help get you to DIGI millionaire status is a 3 to 5 year time horizon. With that being said, we know that people want to see results and be able to benefit from results quicker than 3 to 5 years. So we've got a balanced approach because we've got some nearer term targets. So what we're doing is we're leveraging what we call auto DIGI profit systems so they can assist our members in doing 3 things. Building a meaningful monthly cash flow, building a monthly coin portfolio budget so that in time you have a $500 a month budget just for coin plays. And then in time, there's a $1,000 a month budget. Then in time, there's a $2,000 a month budget. Now, what I just showed you was if you had the wherewithal to have $1,000 in 20 of these assets, what that could have transpired into in just a 12-month time frame. Well, if all of a sudden in time you got a $1,000 a month coin portfolio budget over a 12 to 18-month time frame, or let's say a 20-month time frame, you've got a $20,000 now in your coin portfolio because of maybe you didn't have it to start with, but you kind of grew it there, okay? And then developing a marketing budget. Now, we won't talk much about the marketing tonight, but the reason most marketers struggle, and we know that most marketers struggle, is because they don't have a marketing budget. In making money online, you've got to advertise. Advertising is going to cost money. okay? And so, you know, you don't want to be limited to just talking to your friends and your family. Most people don't want to have to do that anyway. But if you did enough advertising and you had the right systems in place, which is what we'll have for you, and you just did enough advertising, you're going to get people that don't know you, that you never have to pick up the phone and talk to. You never have to take sales calls. I don't do that. I don't do phone work. I don't do phone work. One, because I don't like it. All right. Number two, we've built our business so that we don't have to, and we've developed our system so that you don't have to. As a matter of fact, I don't even have to be on Facebook. I don't even have to be on YouTube. And we developed our system so that if you're not the social media darling, you don't have to. We'll get into that later on. We won't talk so much about marketing on tonight, okay? All right, so here, what we want to do is I want to introduce you to one of our Auto Digi profit systems. This is our flagship. Give me just a moment. And I want to share with you why this is our flagship. It is a system called BitConnect. And they exist to assist those of us that want to be in this digi space and want to generate revenue in this digi space in generating digi profits. So here's how this works, okay? With their platform, you can actually take digi assets and lend it to them. They're going to take what we lend to them, and they're going to go out and they're going to trade it. Now they've got a trading bot. We don't know exactly what they're buying. They could also be participating in things like ICOs themselves. I mean, just think about if they did an ICO like I just talked about, but they did it with, you know, $10,000 or $100,000, okay? And they have their own coin. Well, how much did it cost them to generate their own coin? Well, they generated their own, you know, they did their own coin, so they got it at zero, okay? And their coin right now is going for just under $200 a coin. Now, let's talk about the lending aspect. In time, we'll tell you about how you could trade their coin. We do that as well. But let's talk about the most simplistic way for you to start generating digi profits in as little as 24 hours. Okay, so here's how their system works. I'm going to talk in terms of US dollar terms. If you did a lend amount of $100 to $1,000, what happens is your lend amount would be committed for 299 days. And for that 299-day period, you would earn a variable interest rate each day, and that depends on the volatility of the markets, okay? The more volatile the markets are, up or down, the higher our interest is going to be that day. The lower the volatility of the market didn't move that much that day, then we won't make that much that day. Let's say that you did, now each loan stands on its own merit, and after you've done the first loan of at least $100, you can re-lend in increments of $10. Meaning, let's say you did a loan and maybe you even got some commissions because you start building the referral side of things. That goes into something called your lending wallet. Anytime you see at least $10 there, you can re-lend that. Each lend stands on its own merits, has its own contract, for lack of a better word. All right, so anything under $1,010 is going to have a 299-day commitment. Now, if you have $1,000, don't lend 1,000, lend 1,010, because that extra $10 gives you some huge perks. Not only do you get your variable interest rate, so everybody's variable interest rate is going to be the same for that day. It might be 0.72% one day, the next day it might be 1.3%, depends on the volatility. But when you do the extra amount here, you get extra bonus interest daily. Plus, your capital hold period is reduced from 299 days, which this is basically 10 months, down to 8 months, okay? $5,000, $10 to 10,000. Hey, if you've got 5,000 that you're going to lend, by the way, you never do anything in the DIGI space. You never do anything in the stock market. You never do anything in the Forex market. You never make any type of investment. Real estate, never. Unless you're willing to lose the money. If you can't afford to lose it, you can't afford to invest it. So please don't put scared money into this or any other system. Please don't go out and borrow money in this or any other system. If you violate those rules and something happens, don't come crying to us, because we've told you. If you can't afford to invest it, you can't afford, if you can't afford to lose it, you can't afford to invest it. Now, let's say you had $5,000 that you felt comfortable putting in the system. Don't do 5,000, do 5,010, because now your bonus interest rate got higher each day, and your capital commitment is reduced down to 179 days. And then you see your big grand poobah lending, all right, 0.25% a day, and your capital period is 120 days. So after these contract periods, your funds are going to be returned to your lending wallet. You want to withdraw it out, you can. If you want to relend it, you can. Any combination thereof is totally up to you. All right, so real quickly, let's show you how this works. And then I'm going to have Queen come on, and she's going to do, she's going to bring up a spreadsheet. Okay. All right, so first, the thing I want you to pay attention to would be the last 5 days of interest credits. So if we go back a few days ago, boy, 1.81%, well, that's because there was a huge run in the market, okay? High volatility, 1.24%, 1.08%. Now, typically what happens is we'll have these ebbs and flows. You'll have a few days where the market's not doing jack. And then you have a few days where the markets are explosive, either up or down. All right, so we see stuff like this quite a bit. Today's interest credit, not that much. Wasn't a lot of volatility. And this is 2 days in arrears. So a couple days ago, there wasn't a lot of volatility. So we already know what tomorrow is going to be, because this is a couple days in arrears, okay? Now, let's just walk you through this real quickly. And on this calculator, I'm going to click on 6 months. You know, what has been the average interest rate per day over the last 6 months without the bonuses? You can see that the average interest rate per day, this is 7 days a week, is 0.93%. So let's say a person had $100. That would be a capital commitment of 299 days, and we calculate it. And without compounding, without any type of relending or reinvesting, at the end of the contract period, if the average day is as the average day has been the last 6 months, this $100 would have made $278.07. Now, you could have been taking out that interest on a daily basis as you were seeing that interest if you wanted to. In a few moments, we're going to show you how to really exponentially grow your account by compounding. This does not factor in any compounding. At the end of 299 days in this example, with your $100 coming back, plus the interest that you would have earned up to that point, on average, your $100 would be worth $378.07. Let's do the 10-10 so you can see the extra bonus interest it's going to show here. And we'll also lower the time frame because it's 239 days. All right. And so you can see that in about 8 months, 10-10, we're not even factoring in any compounding, would have made $2,486. And once you get your 10-10 back, your 10-10 would have essentially produced $34.96. 10-10 of that being your principal, the other amount being your interest. We'll do 5,010 real quickly. We're going to notice that our bonus interest rate is going to get bumped up here. And our capital hold is reduced to about 6 months. Ooh, look at this. 5,000 without the impact of compounding made 10,000. Wow. So at the end of 6 months, your 5,000 is 15,000 and some change. That's your 5,000 back plus the interest that you have accumulated up to that point on average. And then we'll do the 10-10. 120 days. This is going to change here. I calculate. Wow, 4 months, $10,000 generated 14,000 in profits. Wow, 10,000 generated $14,000 in profits. I want to show one last thing, then we're going to turn things over to Queen here. We're going to turn the screen, miracle's about to happen, over to Queen. We're going to turn over the screen over to Queen. Okay, one last thing I want to show you here before we do that. I'm going to show you a couple of accounts. This is an account where the account holder has not referred anyone, so they've not gotten any commissions. They started back on July the 23rd with $1,010. Now they are compounding, which is what Queen is going to show you in just a few moments, the power of that. They've got no referral commissions, okay? However, after this picture shows up, this was taken on October the 10th, so not quite 3 months. This particular account now is up to a $2,140 lend amount, total amount that they've lent, primarily, well, because of the fact that they are compounding. Now, let me tell you why this is so important, okay? Because this person is just a few weeks away from being at a point that their average monthly interest is $1,000 a month from the system. I want you to hear this. Their average monthly interest, they're just a few weeks away from hitting $1,000 a month. Now, why is this important? Remember our nearer term targets: build a meaningful monthly cash flow, build a coin portfolio budget, develop a monthly marketing budget. Now, this particular person, what their game plan is that once they're at $1,000 a month in interest, they're going to withdraw half of their interest, and that will be their coin portfolio budget. They will have a $500 a month coin portfolio budget. And maybe they're getting some Bitcoin or some Ethereum or some Dash or what have you, and building that coin portfolio budget, okay? Now, I'd like to see them ultimately have a monthly marketing budget and what have you, but that's what their game plan is. We'll give you some ideas. You're big boys and you're big girls. You'll decide what's best for you. So they will be about 4 months in with no referral commissions. They started off with $1,010. They've not put any more money into the system from their pocket. They have compounded, and about 4 months into it, they'll have $1,000 a month in interest. They'll pull out half of that, and they're going to take half of that, and half of what they're going to take half of what they're earning, and they're going to direct that to their monthly coin portfolio budget. Okay. That's why we take advantage of these auto digi profit systems, because they become our nearer term cash flow systems, where we can do things like increase your monthly budget for your household, or your coin portfolio budget, your monthly marketing budget. In time, we want you to be able to do all of those. Let me show you one other thing here, and then we're going to give it over to Queen. I'm going to show you a different account. This is not my account. This is someone that I've done business with for quite some time, and they gave us these screenshots here. This person, the difference is they've been building a referral network. They their initial amount that they put into the system was $100, and they came back and did another $1,050. So $1,150. That's all they've put into the system, and they got started back on June 28th of this year. Notice their active investment is up to $18,000. Why? Because they've been building the referral network. We won't talk about that so much tonight because we don't have the time. Earning commissions and taking a good amount of those commissions and redeploying it back into the system. So you can see they've earned $22,000 in interest and commissions. And that's a combination of both interest and commissions that they've earned. And they've been redeploying much of that back into the system. Their goal is to get to an active investment of $25,000. At that point, based on their interest and roughly what they're earning monthly in commissions, they're at about $6,000, going on $6,000 on average per month just in interest. And they're at about $1,500 to $2,000, or at least they will be that once they get to $25,000. Sorry. Once they get to $25,000, they'll be at about $6,000 a month in interest, and they're earning about $1,500 or so a month right now in commissions. So by the time they get to the active investment of $25,000, which they'll probably be there in about another month, 2 at the max, they should be at a point where they're generating over $8,000 a month. Now, their plan is a little different than the other person's. They plan to withdraw half. So if they, let's say $8,000, they plan to withdraw $4,000. And then their plan is of the $4,000, they're going to take $2,000 of that and add to their family's monthly budget. Pay out some debt, go out and date their spouse, vacate, vacation, so on and so forth, okay? Maybe upgrade your lifestyle a little bit. So $8,000 in interest and commissions is what their target is in about another month and a half or so. They plan to withdraw out $4,000 a month, $2,000 to the family's budget. That leaves $2,000 left. They plan to have a $1,000 a month coin portfolio budget and then a $1,000 a month monthly marketing budget. Now, there are not any great recruiting guru. They referred a few that referred a few. And our marketing system, we haven't even launched our marketing system in full yet. That'll be happening here very soon. So they could blow past those numbers. Now, with that being said, Queen, I want you to really show the impact of, Queen has put together a spreadsheet for us, and it's in our back office of our system, our CRB DIGI Millionaire system. Queen, would you go on and take the screen, please? Because I want Queen to show you the difference between what we've already shown you at the BitConnect site and what happens if you decide to compound. So Queen, if you haven't already done so, let's also make sure that you've got the BitConnect site up.
I did.
And we'll do those same 4 scenarios. A person starting off with $100, what that would look like in 299 days, and BitConnect without compounding, what that would look like with compounding. And also we'll pay attention to, right now you're showing even a slight less interest. So this is even more conservative, because I think what was last 6 months was like 0.93, and you're showing in column D 0.90, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, what you're seeing is $100 going to 299 days. And remember this, that with BitConnect, once you have $10 in your lending wallet, you can relend that. You don't have to, it doesn't have to build up to $100. So if you go in every day and you got more than $10, you can relend that. That's where your compounding comes in. All right, so Queen.
Yes.
Let me give it to you so that my voice can rest, and you just walk us through the difference between this and then the difference between not compounding, so people can see why they would want to consider compounding.
Okay. As you can see, at the end of 299 days, if you compound it every day, every chance you got, whatever you earned, you would be at approximately $1,370. Now let's go back and look at what it looked like at 100. You did 6 months, $100, and the length of term is 299. I mean, that is the length of term for $100. So calculate it, and your total earned without compounding would be a total of $378.07. That's a difference of almost $1,000. So just by compounding your whatever you earn every time you got $10, you would earn an extra $1,000 on what you would have earned had you not compounded. An additional $1,000. So just think about that. Compounding. Do I need that over that period of time? Will it do anything for me? It could, but will it? No. So you would compound it if you possibly could, or I mean, if you need it, you can always take it out. Not a problem. All right. So let's go back and look at $1,010 and what that would look like if you compounded it for its term, and that would be 239 days. Remember that whenever you make a deposit of $1,010, it is held and used by the company for 239 days. That's 8 months. So in 8 months, if you compound all of your earnings for 239 days, at the end of that 8 months, let's see how much you would actually have. $10,740. Now, if you had that same $1,010 in the bank in 239 days, a little bit less than 8 months, what would you have in the bank at that time? Just think about it. You don't have to tell me, but just think about it. What would you have? You may have earned a couple of pennies, but would you have earned $10,740? Now, I'm going to show you the difference if you compound the $1,010 and if you don't compound the $1,010. And that term is 239 days. That's calculated. Okay. You will have earned and gotten back at the end of the term with your deposit $3,496. You would have compounded and received and brought your balance up to $10,740. Now, at the end of this term, you will still be able to get that $1,010 back. But would you? I think I would leave it in so that I can continue to earn, because at this point, you are getting $100 a day plus. And then if you decide you want to, actually anytime before that, when you decide that you want to take some out, you can. So if I want to do half and half, $100 a day would be $3,000 a month. So if I do half and half at this point, then I'm putting 50 in my pocket and 50 back in to compound some more so that my balance is still growing. Isn't that a great concept? Put 50 in my pocket, put 50 back in on a daily basis. That would be $1,500 in my pocket to take care of whatever I need to take care of, whether it's household, business, or whatever. Let's just keep looking. And if you didn't compound, then your total earnings would be $3,496. Big difference. Your balance would be zero at the end of the term because you would get everything back, but you can also redeposit it and start all over again. Now, $5,010. If you decided that you wanted to grow the balance for the 179 days, let's see where you would be in 179 days. Now, of course, we're not saying do that, because at some point you want to put some in your pocket, no matter what you're doing. But this is just to show you what happens when you compound and when you don't. $5,010 in 179 days, a little bit under 6 months, turns into, if you compounded it every day, put everything back in, you would be at $35,080. Now, let's go back to the calculator and see where we would be in 179 days. Calculate. Ooh, I mean, it's a great, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this number. But, and your total with profit and principal would be $15,143.73. Your profit with principal here would be $35,080. And then, I mean, if you decide at any point when you decide that you want to do half and half, and let's do the math. 390 times, and this is just not even taking into fact it's going up every day. So times 30 days, how much is that? $11,700. You started off with $5,010. And in 180 days, you could, well, I'm sorry, I went down too far, didn't I? Well, $370. Let's do the math on 370 times 30. I mean, it's still close. $11,100. Okay, so let's just think about that. Wow, even if I didn't take a dime out in less than 6 months, I can now put $11,000 in my pocket. Every month, because I would just go ahead and if I just grew it, didn't grow it, and just at this point just started taking everything out on a daily basis, then I was right at 390. I was looking at the wrong number, but anyway, it $11,000, no matter how we look at it. Now, if I did not compound, I would have 15,143. But if I compound it, at the end of that 180 days, I'm putting $11,000 in my pocket every month. What can you do with that? What would I do with that? Good question. All right, let's see where the 10,000, what the 10,000 looks like. So if you put in, your deposit was $10,010, and you did it today, in 120 days, let's see where you would be. Just 4 months, your 10,000 would be $39,010. And you would be getting approximately $450 a day. So even if you didn't continue to compound and grow your balance, 450 times 30 equals $13,500. Now, I know that Doc showed you earlier what it looks like if you don't compound, but we're going to just refresh your memory on that one. There we go. $10,000, $10, 120 days. You would have made $14,174 in 120 days. Total with your principal would be $24,184. But if you compound it and you didn't take a dime out for those 4 months, then you would be at $39,000 and able to put in your pocket $13,500 every single month. Or you can take half, use it, part of it for your business, use part of it to grow your coin balance, and then take the other half and make your family happy, make you happy. Go do some things that you love. And half would be, let's say half of this divided by 2, $6,750. So this is half that you're going to use for your marketing, for your coin portfolio. And this is every month. You have this in your budget just to build your coin portfolio. And as you saw earlier, what Doc did in building that coin portfolio, what could happen, and what could you do building your coin portfolio and marketing, because he did show you what it would be like to build this, that you could get here faster, and then help some other people do the same thing that you're doing with a marketing budget. And say you do it half for your marketing and half for your coin play, then $3,375 going toward marketing, $3,375 going toward building your coin portfolio. What could you do at this point?
Queen, I've been muted out because I didn't want a lot of background noise there with the echo.
Okay.
My God. Queen, gotta
Yes.
gosh. I just so want people to walk away tonight saying I can be excuse me, a Digi Millionaire. So here you grew an account, whether you were able to start off
with 100
or you had to start where you are. When you come out Thursday night, DG/marketing webinar, we'll talk a little bit more about marketing, because we got some marketing pieces that I want you to be aware of that have just hit our back office, some things you can use right now until we go full scale. Look at the potential here and notice we're not just promoting an auto digi platform. We're not just saying, hey, join BitConnect. We're saying let's leverage something like BitConnect, and there's a few other things in our arsenal that we haven't had a chance to talk about. Let's leverage BitConnect. Let's get you generating some digi profits, but then let's be smart. We're not going to compound to the moon. We're all going to compound, all right? But ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to take out of the system, and everybody will do something differently, but we're giving you some ideas. Hey, increase your monthly budget, all right, for your family. Add some to your family's budget. Coin portfolio, marketing, and what Queen just showed you here. You imagine, see, when you understand marketing, you can't have a $3,375 a month marketing budget where most of that is going to traffic or advertising, and you not get some people join you. Not with our system. That would be impossible. You got to have some people joining you, because marketing is a function of numbers. A $3,375 a month coin portfolio budget, so that you can participate in these ICOs, or you can participate in non-ICOs, and when you see a coin that you really like and it goes down, you say, oh, let me go and buy some more. If I liked it at 10, I got to love it at 9. If I liked it at $20 a coin, I got to love it at $17 a coin. So, ladies and gentlemen, Queen, I'm going to take the screen back.
Okay.
And we're going to round third. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have an optional Q&A coming up here in just a few moments. So hold your questions. We'll get to those in just a few moments. All right, so now here's what you want to do. For those of you that are guests with us, you are not yet a part of our CRB Digi Millionaire system. You want to get back to the person that referred you to tonight's webinar. Ask them for the CRB Digi Millionaires referral link. When you click onto that link, it's going to take you to a page where you can become a CRB Digi Millionaire member. You're going to take a 7-day test drive for just $1. Thereafter, it's only $30 a month, and that's going to give you access to our trading labs, which we were previously going to have that for $130 a month. You're going to get the trading labs for just the $30. Our marketing is going to be for the $30 in terms of our lead capture pages and our sales pages and all that good stuff. We'll be launching our search traffic co-op here real soon. Now, if you want to participate in that with traffic, that'll be something different. But at least if you want traffic, you're going to be able to get traffic. If you know nothing about traffic generation, we've got a whole system, ladies and gentlemen, that we're developing around this Bitcoin space. BitConnect is our flagship, but that's not the only thing that's in our system. So take that 7-day test drive for just $1. Thereafter, it's just $30 a month. Now, the $30 a month is going to go up. And when we get into November, that's going to go up to $49.95 a month. But if you take your test drive now, you will lock in the $30 a month rate. Anybody who takes a test drive November 1 going forward will be at the $49.95 a month rate, okay? The other thing that's going to happen is when you're on that page, there's going to be a link for you to go on and connect with your referrer with BigConnect. The link should already be programmed in. And then there's going to be another auto digi profit system that we haven't even discussed today that is getting amazing reviews, amazing press. So there's going to be basically 3 steps when you go to that page. Follow all 3 steps. Now, one thing I will say is when you go to take your test drive, there is a video on that page that your referrer is going to be sending you. There's actually 2 videos. One's a brief overview of about 8 minutes, and then the other one, it walks you through how to take your test drive. That's a 2-minute video. So video number 2, make sure you watch, because if you don't, you're likely going to miss a step, and then you're going to get frustrated because your system won't be populated automatically. And then you have to come back to support and all that other stuff. So to keep you from having frustrations and our support team, make sure you watch that 2-minute video, okay? All right, so those are your getting started steps. How about we take about 15 minutes and I'll tell you what, before we go into questions, I need to do a couple of announcements, and then we'll do Q&A, Queen. Couple of announcements. 2 weeks ago, those of you in our trading lab, we introduced an ICO, starts with an H. I won't mention it. The name of it starts with an H. You should know what I'm talking about. We told you it was going to be difficult for people to get into that ICO, that initial coin offering. Some of you have been able to get in. Others of you have not been able to get in. We will, this coming Thursday, we will be offering an alternative to that ICO that you should be able to get in with no problems. This is different from what we discussed last Thursday night, all right? And if you are already connected to my CRB system, if you go into your showcase, it's already there. Should be the first item there. It says H alternative. Take a look at that. I plan before I go to bed tonight to have a link that will be able to go out, so that, because there is a referral side to this, so we want to make sure that everybody gets the referral credit that should be coming due to them. All right, so those of you that are connected to my system, make sure you check the showcase, and then I will have a link probably either late tonight or going out first thing in the morning, and I'll probably put that also on my showcase, where you can grab that link and you can send that link out to all of your folks. It'll tell them why we're using this as an alternative, because a lot of folks are not able to get into the that other ICO. We probably need to move fast. It doesn't work like the other ICO, so you should be able to get in if you get the information soon enough, okay? All right, so that's number 1. Number 2, tomorrow's my anniversary, so I am not doing any business on tomorrow. So, folks were sending text messages or what have you, don't expect any responses on tomorrow. 25 years ago, she swept me off my feet, and I still haven't found the floor. But we'll be back on Thursday, back in the saddle. Okay, Queen, I'm ready for questions. You can put your questions in the questions box. We're going to take 15 minutes and address as many of them as we possibly can. While Queen's doing that, there was one other thing. Let me show something real quickly for those of you who already have our system. We're starting to load up the pages that's going to be in the autoresponder. We're starting to load up the video pages. We've gotten 10 of those already loaded up. So you can go back here and you can pull some of these pages if you want to go on and start getting out some content to your folks. You can do that.
Okay.
So Queen, real quickly, if people go under my web pages, and we are aware that we're having some issues with mobile, so you may not see it like this on mobile right now. We know there's some mobile compatibility things. We'll have our programmer working on that. If you come back here to where it says autoresponder sales pages, each one of these right here is a training page that will go out in the autoresponder series, but they are standalone trainings, and they have a countdown timer, and at the end of that timer, the call to action button is going to pop up. When they click on that call to action button, it's going to take them to your page for them to join you in CRB, join you in BitConnect, and join you in our companion system. So feel free to go back there, and all you got to do is do what I just did. Click on one of these, the page pops up, and you just grab the link, and if you want to send it out in an email, you want to use a URL shortener to tweet it out or to Facebook it out, feel free to go on and do so. All right, Queen, starting with yours. Every day can be what, Queen?
It could be payday, Doc.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.